In this video, we'll be hunting 2 boxes of pennies. We'll be looking for any wheat pennies from 1958 or older. We'll also be looking for any proofs, foreigns, heirs or varieties, or any other cool things we can find. And this first box actually has 3 wheats and enders. We have a reverse right here, a 1940-something right here, and then in the corner we have a 1956. So this first box might be good, and hopefully the second box is too. Let's start the hunt on the first box, and I'll bring you in when we have our first find. That's a good sign. We're on the first roll, and literally 3 coins in, I just revealed our first wheat cent. This might be a really good box. And it's a 1944 out of San Francisco. Just opened roll 2, and I think we're on another wheat cent dump. We've had so many dumps recently, we've been so lucky, and I think we have another one because we have our second wheat cent, and we're on roll number 2, and we had 3 enders, so this one's a 1945 Denver. Roll 5, and I just uncovered another wheat cent. It's another one from the 40s, and this one's a 1948 Denver. Just opened roll 7, and I see the edge of another wheat cent. It's only a few coins into the roll, and it is a 1953 from San Francisco. Same roll, and I just uncovered another wheat cent. And this one is a 1948 out of Denver. And then the one a few coins behind it looks old too, and it is another wheat cent. This one's another 1953, but it's from Denver. Still on roll 7, and I just uncovered the 4th wheat cent of the roll. This one's a 1940 out of Philly. Roll 9, and I just uncovered another wheat cent. This one is a 1956 out of Philly. Just opened roll 10, and I see the edge of another wheat cent near the back of the roll. And it looks like it could be a little older, probably from the 40s or older. Oh, no, it was just a worn 1951 Denver. Same roll, and I'm not sure how I missed the edges at first, but we do have another wheat cent edge and a Canadian, so we'll pull those out too. Wheat cent is a 1940 out of Philly, second one of those, and then the Canadian is back here, and it's a 1987. Roll 12, and we have another wheat cent. It's another one from the 40s, and it's a 1942 out of Denver. Just opened roll 13, and I see the edge of another wheat cent near the beginning of the roll. And it looks a little worn, but it's just a 1944 Denver. Same roll, and I just uncovered another wheat cent at the back of the roll. And this one is a 1952 Denver. Roll 14, and we're going to have the second foreign of the hunt, and it's going to be a young head Canadian. I can see it at the beginning of the roll right here. It's 1964 or older, and it's from 1962. Roll 16, and I see another Canadian cent. And this is going to be the 3rd Canadian in the box, and it's from 1975. Roll 19, just uncovered another wheat cent, and it's a pretty damaged 1956 out of Denver. Roll 23 was our first of 3 wheat cent enders. I just opened the roll, don't see anything else, but the ender is a 1941 out of Philly. Roll 24, and we're going to have Canadian cent number 4 of the box, and it's near the beginning of the roll right here, and it's a 1979. Roll 25 was our second wheat cent ender, and I also see a Canadian in the roll. We'll get the wheat cent ender first, and it is a 1944 Denver, and then the Canadian cent is right here, and it is a 1983. Just opened roll 26, and we're going to have the 6th Canadian of the box. So the box had more Canadians than we've been doing lately, at least. This one's a 1964, which means it's our second young head of the box. Roll 28, and we're going to have a couple more wheat cents. First, I just uncovered a pretty nice 1957 Denver, and later in the roll, see a wheat cent reverse. This one is a 1944 out of Denver. Roll 33, and we're going to have a couple more Canadian cents. First one is right here. It's going to be a modern one. It is, and it's a 2006. Another one I see is back here, and it looks pretty beat up. And I don't know if I can see a date. It is a young head. I'll see if I can get a date. If I see one, I'll bring you back. Just studied it under the scope for a bit, and I'm pretty sure the young head is a 1964. Same roll, just a few coins in. We have another wheat cent. This one is a 1956 Denver. Roll 35, and it's not a find, but I think it's pretty interesting. Looks like this coin was burned or something. I don't know. It's pretty weird though. Well, I just took out roll 41, which is another wheat cent ender, and opened it, and I just saw I leave an extra penny in the box. I'll get this, and then I'll show the ender. There it is. And yep, extra penny. It's a 1984. It made a cent, and then the ender is a 1956 out of Philly. Roll 42, and I just uncovered another wheat cent. And this one is a 1950 from Denver. Roll 44, and we have another wheat cent. See the edge, just a few coins into the roll. And this one is a pretty beat up 1957 Denver. Roll 45, and it seems like these last 10 rolls are going to be as hot as the first about 15 because we have another wheat cent. It's weird the box just cooled down the middle like that. And this one is a 1952 Denver. Same roll, another wheat cent. This one is a 1945 Denver. Roll 49, and we have another Canadian cent. Just a couple away from being an ender at the back of the roll. It's pretty damaged. It's a 1972. Roll 50, and I just uncovered another wheat cent. It is a 1953 minted in Denver. That was all for box number 1. We ended up getting 25 wheats, which is a little less than I was expecting with 3 enders, but that's still definitely really good for a box. And we got 9 Canadians with 3 young heads, and then we got that extra penny that was floating around in the box, so that's pretty cool. Now let's move on to box number 2, and hopefully we can get some good finds. Roll 16, and we finally have our first find of box 2, and it's a wheat cent. It's one away from being an ender, and it is a 1945 Denver. Next roll, and I don't know what the chances are, but we just had 2 rolls in a row with a wheat cent, one away from being an ender. And then this one is a 1956 Denver. Roll 21, and we have the first 2 Canadians of box number 2 in the same roll. One of them is back here, 1991, and the other one is near the front of the roll, and it's 1972. Roll 23, and we have another wheat cent. It's in the middle of the roll right here, and it is a 1952 Denver. Next roll, roll 24, and I think the box might be heating up because I just uncovered yet another wheat cent. This one is a 1944 Philly. Roll 28, we have another wheat cent, and it's super old. Just uncovered it. It's a 1911 out of Philly. 3rd-year wheat cent. Pretty worn, but still a 1911 wheat cent. That's an amazing find. Just opened roll 29, and it looks like we're going to have another Canadian cent. So it could be a little older. Yeah, and it's another young head. 1962 in pretty decent shape. Roll 43, and the box kind of got cold, but I bring you in because we have another foreign. It's going to be another Canadian, and it's a 1993. Roll 46, just open the roll, and I see a couple of Canadians. First one's here. It is a 1989 with some corrosion. Then the second one is here, and it's a 1970. Both boxes have been hunted, so let's go over the finds. We have getting 19 1959s, 25 Esmonts, and 31 2009s. We got 15 foreigns, all were Canadian, and 4 of them were young heads, 2 1962s and 2 1964s. Then we did get this extra penny that was just floating around, not in a roll in box number 1, so that's pretty cool. For wheat pennies, we ended up getting 30 for the 2 boxes, 25 in the first box, and 5 in the second box. And the find of the hunt was this 1911 that we found in the second box. For copper, we did very well. The first box only filled about 1/4 of the jar, but the second box had a ton of copper, so that's always good to get. Overall, this was a great penny hunt.